Sri Lanka has a history as a vibrant democracy, and elections play an important role in ensuring that the people's voices are heard and that our democracy is protected and strengthened. However, in the digital age, elections have taken many challenges. It has become very different to what we have used to be, and the electoral process has become more challenging and giving more and more new areas to look at for us as people, as well as to the election commission, as well as to independent election observers. So we are here today to discuss about the election process and having elections in a digital age. And to discuss on this, we have with us today Ms. Pumi Artigala, who is the Deputy Election Commissioner, Colombo City. And we also have Mr. Manjula Gajanayaka, who is the Executive Director of the Institute for Democratic Reforms and Electoral Studies. As you all are aware, elections are important to our decision-making process in ensuring who governs us and ensuring that the people's voices are heard. And in that process, the administration and the management of the election is done by the Election Commission of this country, and thus they are responsible in ensuring that there are free and fair elections. And at the same time, independent election observers in our country has worked in the past and are continuing to work to ensure that citizens' rights are upheld and the electoral integrity is protected. So as such, we have these two speakers who will continue in this discussion as we go forward, as we are going to discuss about the elections in the digital age. So first, I'll turn towards Ms. Artigala. Because you're representing the Election Commission, and we know that the Election Commission has the responsibility in ensuring that the elections are free and fair. Now with the digital age, there are many new challenges that have emerged. So what approaches has the Election Commission taken to ensure that the Election Commission is equipped to ensure that there are free and fair elections in this digital age?
Yeah, thank you, Darshita. And as you have clearly pointed out, ensuring free and fair elections, conducting free and fair election is indeed one of primary responsibilities of Election Commission. And during this digital age and digital era, it has become a huge challenge. We have to accept that. And however, we have taken several key measures to ensure we are having a free and fair election on social media as well. And also we work with several organizations, and we conduct some negotiations with some users, and also there are a lot of steps. So during past two elections, we have taken several key measures. One such thing is we monitored social media. So monitoring social media is a huge challenge. We can't do it alone, actually. So what we did was we coordinated with our stakeholder organizations, especially with our civil society organizations. So we cooperated with them, and they observed and they monitored social media on behalf of us, and also we had that kind of a agreement. So they monitored social media, they reported to us, and after that we map all these reportings according to our prevailing legal framework. And after that, if there are some violations, so we forwarded those things to social media tech companies. The second thing is we took some legal actions. We cannot say that we are 100% successful in that scenario, but we all know that the prevailing legal framework is not sufficient. It's not enough. So we have to do some amendments. But apart from that, using the existing legal framework, we somehow managed to take several legal actions against some violations. The third thing is we cooperated with platform companies. So it is more likely an informal one, not a formal one like having contracts or having MOU. It's not the case here. So we had that informal connection with them. So I think it goes back to 2019, 2015. So we had that cordial relationship with them. So it continued to this date as well. So and also the another thing is public awareness. If we are doing all these things and public is not aware about our endeavors and our tasks, it would become kind of a useless thing. So we did some awareness program to the public about what really misinformation is, what is disinformation, what should you do if you find out kind of a violation on social media. So we did some campaigning as well. And lastly, we are currently working on this. So policy formulation. So when it comes to election duration, we usually issue kind of a guidelines and also regulations. So we usually issue those things to all our stakeholder parties. So apart from that, we have included some social media guidelines into those guideline and regulations, and it was published during past 2 elections. So it was kind of a success. I'm not saying that we were 100% got the success rate here, but it was
it's a process that's
it's a process, and
it's growing.
yeah.
Yes, it's good
So,
to hear that as a state
yes.
body that you are the election commission is looking into new technologies and adapting
Yes.
into new things. So that's a great starting point for our discussion.
Yes.
Yes.
And also we are currently working with social media companies, and we had some discussions as well. So they are actually willing to help us developing guidelines for election period. And also we are in the process of discussing with some other civil society organizations, and so they are also working with us to build a better working documents for the upcoming elections. Hope for the best. Yes.
Thank you. So I'll move to Mr. Gajanayak for the next one, because now we know that the Election Commission is working towards adapting to this digital age. As an independent election observer, how do you see the digital technologies, these new tools, challenging the electoral landscape?
Yeah, thanks for having me in this discussion, Darashata. Let me just begin with the line from a film. Actually, there was a film produced in 1998, Enemy at State. Actually, in that film, there's a famous line that the privacy left is only the only privacy is left inside your head. Now, no privacy in this digital era, no? Then everything is challenging. In this challenging environment, then no escape only for elections. Then all are exposed, and we are living in a challenging environment. When it comes to elections, actually, you know that we have conducted more than 78 elections after 1931. If you are trying to track elections conducted in other regions, in global level, actually, you may surprised that Sri Lanka has a reputed history conducting elections. But you know that after maybe 2020, 24, even from last election, actually, that the election landscape has drastically changed. Then the misinformation, disinformation is in the arena, and not only that, actually, electioneering and conducting elections, as well as the stakeholders of elections also in working in this challenging environment. The basic change is that, you know, that when you may remember that actually we always talking on the Northwestern election conducted in 1998, 25th January 1998. Northwestern Provincial Council election. Still, I'm thinking that if there's an online platform, what will happen? No, then we always call that election is a daylight robbery. Actually, if online was presence actually it might be a black mark for our election. However, I mean, there are pros and cons. Darshana, my main concern is that basically most of people are saying that the AI and misinformation, disinformation, there are many challenges then how to conduct elections. My argument is actually, as Ms. Piyumi mentioned correctly, if we are promoting more positive narratives related to elections and promoting and aware people, actually we can be expected more results. Then what I can say that actually yes, election environment is totally different, but there are pros and cons, but still we have a chance to control the mechanism, because you know that as in that film said, actually no privacy. Even at the end of the month, actually that the Google or some Gmail actually will send you your digital footprint, no, where you were going and everything. Then no privacy actually. Then when it comes to elections, then we can use that scenario to promote more transparency as well as accountability, no. Then in that aspect still I'm thinking that election environment is drastically changed, but still we can use of them if we are using them wisely.
Yes, thank you very much. There's pros and cons in the digital adaptation of elections. I'll come back to Ms. Artigala. You mentioned that the laws may be inadequate to the evolving parts of technology, because I mean, elections are anyway complicated. You have the campaigning, you have the election management, you have the silent period, you have the post-election, post-voting, and then the results counting and all of it. So when you say that the legal ecosystem is inadequate, are there any key challenges that you think should change, that should be prioritized?
Yeah, actually, firstly, we have to accept that the prevailing legal system is not sufficient to this digital era to face those challenges. So for that, we have to identify what we are lacking. So first thing is, almost all the laws are outdated laws. So when it comes to media, for example, when we talk about acts, so all those acts were written in early 80s, early 70s or 60s. So in those acts, we do have some provisions for media, but for traditional media such as newspapers, TV, radio, for those kind of things. So if we are dealing with digital age challenges, those kind of provisions are not enough to current situation. So we have to accept that, and we have to address that issue first of all. Then the second thing is, we are facing some kind of a jurisdiction issues. So for example, when we talk about highly engaging social media profiles or pages or something like that, we know that most of those pages or profiles are running by people who are living outside the country. So Election Commission do not have the authority or jurisdiction power if something bad happens with the use of these profiles or pages. We do not have that authority to bring them forward or expose them. It's a big challenge, so we have to address that issue as well. The second thing is, the legal process in Sri Lanka is very lengthy, so it takes like years to complete one case. So
Decades time.
Yeah, decades. So the damage is already done. So we have to like accept that, and we have to address that issue as well. And also, the one major thing is, we are like, it is for us, it is really hard to identify the violators, you know, because most of the violation happen with the fake or anonymous profiles, using fake profiles. So we have to identify the real person behind those activities or those pages or those profiles. So it is really hard for us. So it takes an extra effort to identify those people. So it's kind of a challenge, and we have to address those things as well. And also it's a common thing, the next thing, because election commission do not have law enforcement power. That's a major thing, because in any case, if we are going to take legal action against someone or something, so we have to go through Sri Lanka police with the consultation of Attorney General, and the police is going to conduct the further investigation. So in that case, I have to say that we are in a kind of a helpless state. So it's a challenge as well. So the last thing is, it should be addressed very carefully. We have to identify what really misinformation, disinformation, or hate speech is. So definition should be there beforehand. So the prevailing laws or existing laws does not provide any definition or clarification about these narratives. So these are really newly invented or newly used jargon. So we have to identify those things, and we have to map all these definition into current scenario. So those are really challenging tasks, and we luckily, I think the election commission is on the right track. So there are some committees, and you may heard about a lot of meetings and lot of initiatives they are taking about on amending tax and introducing legal reforms. So I can say that the future would be better in that case. So if the public is supporting us and the social media users are supporting us, we are hopefully we will get some better result in upcoming elections. Yes.
I'll maybe ask a follow-up question,
Yeah.
because the silent period.
Yes.
We see a lot of campaigning online during the silent period. How does it work, and what does the election commission plan to do?
Yes, in that case, during silence. So first of all, silent period is for people to think about their decisions beforehand, and it should be without manipulation or without pressure. So in Sri Lanka, the silent period is defined as 48 hours before the election day. So but in reality, we see that a lot of propaganda activities happens during the silent period, not only on social media, but when we go to the road, or when we go to some places, we see a lot of propaganda activities. Luckily, during, I think Mr. Manjula may know about history. So during last few elections, we were able to control those things on a real world scenario. But unfortunately, on social media, we are still struggling with that. So in that case, I have to mention about some social media platforms. They were really helpful during silent period. So when we find out, or when we send some violations regarding on silent period, so we report those things to such companies or such platforms. They took immediate action, and they remove all the content and all the advertisement and everything. So they supported in that case. But again, those are kind of like informal request and informal things, not like written law binding or kind of a thing. There are no legal backing on those requests. So it's a big challenge. And for example, so you asked about existing legal backing for a silent period. So there are some provisions in, for example, in Parliamentary Election Act, there are some provisions about silent period, mentioning about what to do and what not to do, what election commission can do about violation and everything. There are some provisions there. And also, on the other hand, if we see some violations, people can make complaints. So after complaining, so we during that period actually we work 24 hours. So it is like a continuous drama, continuously running drama. So when we receive a complaint, we make investigations, and after that we refer it to the police. So police is usually taking further actions. That's how it happens. And some cases, police also using the penal code for punishment or something for legal procedures. So there are some provisions. We cannot say that provisions are not there. So we have to use it very carefully and very precisely. Otherwise, we face.
Before you asking further question from me, actually, let me to intervene, Darshita. Actually, I saw their operation during last election time, right? They had only very few laptops and dedicated staff. But PAFFREL, hashtag generation, and other organizations gave a wonderful support. Even you, actually, you know, that without such a lot of facilities and a huge staff, actually, they did a great job, Darshita, because I personally witnessed that some of representatives of international organizations were there. They admired how they are working, connecting with international, I mean, technical Facebook and Meta and other international organizations. Then I, as an election observer, I should admire what they did during last election time.
Absolutely. I think the Election Commission does a great work with very limited resources. And I think right now we are seeing progress. We are seeing potentially new laws coming in to improve this situation. So I think there's a lot for us to look forward to. I'll turn to Mr. Gajanayaka. We talk about artificial intelligence a lot, AI. So as an independent observer, what mechanisms do you have to look at AI generated content and use of AI in election campaigning, and what sort of direction or trends do you think are there?
Yeah, actually, let me to tell you the truth that when it comes to election monitoring missions, observation missions, still we have not occupied the stage. And actually, we don't have such facilities yet, sophisticated facilities yet. Even when it comes to election commission, I don't think even they have such a wonderful modern techniques to track them. Then it is an evolving subject, I know that, but I know that you also know that actually the election result, when it comes to election results, AI can change the whole landscape of the elections. Before replying you, Darshita, let me to tell you one example. Actually, it is the parliamentary election 2023 conducted in Slovakia. Actually, that the one of major political party, I think the name is Progressive Slovakia. They were well ahead before the election, but during election time there was a clip, 2 minutes voice clip creating the support of voice cloning. Then they sent around and got viral. The conversation only 2 minutes, that the head of, I mean, the name is the political party leader is Michael Semika, and he had a conversation with the journalist regarding voter buying. Actually, it is totally artificial. Created using the artificial intelligence. Then unfortunately they lost the election. Finally, this can happen in Sri Lanka also. When it comes to next election, who knows that actually the chairman of election commission, I mean the voice of our chairman, can create another using hot mic recording and get viral. No, then that can be happen. So it is challenging. But the thing is actually that I think that as Ms. Piyumi mentioned, the election commission also trying to facilitate, I mean gradually purchase equipments, as well as giving some trainings, and also the most important thing is actually connecting with other international organizations and tech giant. It is something important. When it comes to election observation missions, still I am not satisfied. Even PAFFREL and other organizations, actually, still they have to go a long road to occupy this. Therefore, what we can do? The basic thing is, I think that actually the taking the support of other organizations. Some people are thinking that we can do everything. Actually, it is false. We can't do anything without the support of others. Then the first thing is actually we need to connect with other international tech giant. It is number one. Number two is that we have to train and provide capacity for our own staff. Still, there are some programs, there are some workshops, but continuation is the problem. Therefore, but Darshata, luckily, we have enough time because still we are in 2026. Then maybe we have 2 or 3 years. Then I think this window of time, we can develop our capacities because we have files, we have identified our challenges and where to go. It is something good, positive. Then within this next couple of years, we will be able to provide some facilities for the organizations and other platforms.
So one thing to add from our end, actually, yes, it is. We are lacking a lot of technological resources and everything. But apart from that, we face the huge challenges, the lack of knowledgeable officers. And human resource is the main problem, because if we can form kind of a digital forensics team or something like that within our election commission to identify those AI based malicious contents, so we would get like a lot of results during the upcoming elections. Unfortunately, that is the main thing, and of course we do not have like enough resources when it comes to computers and tools and everything. I think right now election commission is like working on that, so they have planned to purchase those kind of like AI based tools and everything for the upcoming elections. So it has plenty of time, so we will be well equipped, hopefully. Yeah.
Because Darshita, actually, you know that as Ms. Pumi mentioned that all the election acts and everything created in 1980s. Then also the procedures also write that because all the election procedures evolved from 1980s, basically what we are practicing right now. Then occupying AI related platforms is actually that the bit of challenging, and it is evolving, no? Then the readiness is also good. Then that is challenging.
Yes, definitely. I think a lot of challenges up ahead. But maybe to Ms. Pumi, a question that I would have is, you spoke about these conversations you're having with tech giants like the big companies, Meta, Google, and other companies. So what would be the ideal direction that you want to head in this setting?
Yeah, the ideal situation is like, it could be like kind of an utopian concept for us, considering our country and everything, influential power and everything. But if we can come to agreements with those tech giants for the election period, it would be ideal for us. But it is a challenge because we have to know about our bargaining power as well. But the thing is, all the discussion we had with those tech giants, they were informal meetings actually. So not like we are having like MOUs or agreements.
All the
Nothing
platforms?
like that.
All the platforms?
All the platforms, yes. Because we have to be very prepared for that. We have to identify our exact requirement beforehand, and we have to have kind of a very challenging discussion with them. But the thing is, with those during past few elections, even though we are having like informal connection with them, the support we got from like we have to appreciate the support we received, because once we send the formal request to remove kind of like malicious or content or violations, they took necessary actions. So we have to admire that first, even though it took like 2 or 3 days to take down those contents, but we have to accept their support, and we have to appreciate that one. But when it comes to silent period, I have to say that the support we received was like very admirable, and they were there for us to help, and they understand their assignment, and they understand their responsibility during that period. So we have to appreciate that. But again, it is not formal agreement with us. So I don't know how things would change within 2 or 3 years. So it's kind of a open discussion. So it's bit challenging, and
even when it comes to regional, local elections, no, it is very challenging. No?
So in scenarios like Indian Election Commission, they are like in very, very much powerful state, because you know that they can do a lot of discussion with them, lot of agreements with them. They have drafted a lot of agreements, and there are a lot of information available mentioning all these things about Indian Election Commission activities. So we are, again, it is kind of like we have to identify our strength and our weaknesses, and we have to form our own method to deal with the tech companies. So I think, in my opinion, we have to build our unique form of engagement level, and yes, kind of a thing, because we cannot compare ourselves with any other country.
Thank you. I'll move to Mr. Gajanayaka, because now usually, or I think by law, we can't recognize a standard election period. But I think just by mere observation, this election campaigning is not necessarily limited to this period. If you anticipate certain elections are coming up, or even political campaigning, manipulation, propaganda, it's taking place throughout, right? Especially on the digital platforms. So how do you see this trend, and do you think it as a challenge, or is it like a positive thing where there's more political discourse taking place? How do you see that?
Yeah, definitely, because there's a phrase that when truth is decaying, democracy is bleeding. No, then we always need to upgrade the value of upgrade the democratic values. No, then I can see. I mean, comparing with the last decade, at least last few years, there's a progressive trend of political parties, as well as election monitoring missions, basically election monitoring missions, because they have not given up the challenge. They always taking this forward, as well as I can see, that we can blame that political parties, that they are the people who are using such content to misguide the people. However, actually, as a citizen living in a democratic country, we can't deny the importance of political party. Then political parties is coming forward, and they also training their own people, as well as they are well connected with election commissions. When election observation missions are inviting them, they always turn up. Then that is so important. And other thing is that that the other part, then now in one side, that when something happened in earlier, before online platform taken place, that that the something visible, we can see something happening, and maybe legal process is there. But when it comes to current situation, actually something we can take positive, because if something happening, if election commission and Sri Lanka police is progressive and more technology friendly, actually you can track it sooner. You can use technology then, and also it is very easy to provide facilities if you have enough money. That's the situation. Then what I see is that as I mentioned, now we have enough time for the next election, since we don't know whether what will happen to the provincial council election. But at least if we are focused in the national elections, then we have enough time to train our own staff, as well as the engagement, upgrade the advance the engagement with the election commission.
Okay. I'll turn to Ms. Artigal again. How do you think during elections, especially, how should people engage with the election commission? How can they contribute to this process?
Actually, Darshit, it is very important, because voters should understand their role, because you know that when it comes to political literacy, I think Mr. Gajanayak can comment on that topic after me. So when it comes to political literacy, we see that there are a lot of uneducated voters are there. I mean, it's not about their educational level, it's about their political understanding. So when it comes to the responsibility, the public have to identify that that their duty does not end when they go to the polling station and for casting vote. It is far beyond that scenario. So first thing is they have to ensure that they have the voting right, because we usually observe that a lot of people do not know that their names are there in voters registry as well. So first thing is they have to verify whether they are registered in a voters list. So apart from that, they have to, like when it comes to election day, they have to have kind of legal document to to identify themselves, and after that they have to follow all the laws and all the regulations at polling stations. And also apart from that's kind of a legal responsibility thing. Apart from that, when we talk about the civic responsibility of public and voters, so they have to the public, they have to understand about this digital innovative propaganda activities, because we see that that during past elections, I mean in 90s and 80s, political parties and candidates use posters or meetings. They conducted like face-to-face encounters with voters, but now it has moved to digital platforms. So they have to understand that drastic change of that propaganda activities. So it is the first thing. So and also apart from that, they have to have that understanding about malicious and fake contents. So again, as I have previously mentioned, we have to educate them about what really misinformation is, what really disinformation means. So how to trace those things, and we have to build the mechanism. But apart from that, public have to engage with us to identify those things, and also they have to public have to have kind of like political awareness, even at least during the election period. So what is happening in the country, so what are the trends here, what are the social media trends, how to trace AI generated video for that candidates and political parties use for propaganda activities. So these things are like basic knowledge these days. So I have to accept that there's a part, we have the responsibility, we also have the responsibility to educate them. But apart from that, they have to have like simple understanding about this digital era trends and everything. So these are the things they have to understand surroundings of elections and surroundings of propaganda activities. Apart from that, they have a huge responsibility to go to the polling station and cast the vote. Otherwise, these all the things are like useless endeavors. Like, yes.
Thank you. So, to Mr. Gajanayak, as an independent election observer, how do you see the public's role in this? Public's role in the digital age.
Thanks, Darshat. It is important that very important, as Miss Piyu mentioned, actually, that maybe the casting your vote is the very last action that any citizen can do. No, before it, you have to do many things. That let me tell something. I mean, the basic problem is, apart from what Miss Piyu mentioned, actually, the awareness of voters is 100% important, right? Super important. But the thing is that still we are trying to aware people using the traditional platforms. Then we have to use offline and online, right? And also innovative actions to be taken. But still we can't see many organizations are using such innovative actions. Recently, luckily, we were able to participate one of actions taken by actually Learn Asia. They have created such a wonderful game to aware young people, Generation Z. The theme was that the play, learn, and vote, right? Maybe 45 minutes or 1 hour video clips. They have included 6 kind of video clips and invited. The most important thing is they invited all the election monitoring missions to take part the pilot project, as well as they have obtained some guidance from the election commission, right? I mean, the reason is mentioned here that they have identified the way how to aware people, right? Like that. Then that is so important, Darshata. And other thing is that, you know, that the when it comes to voter, actually now we are living in a generation that we are going to identify everything seeing the thumbnail, right? Then we are seeing the thumbnail, then without reading the content, we are trying to judge everything only seeing the thumbnails, right, of YouTube. Then my invitation is actually, as a voter, if you are a voter, you have to think twice. Otherwise, that people will surprise that basically 1 or 2 years ago, if something happened, I mean, if we have any doubt, what we are doing is we approach fact-checking organization. Now, surprisingly, there are fake fact-finding entities also. Then who can trust? That's the problem, actually. That Darshata, you know that there's a praise that falsely accredited to Mark Twain. Someone has said that a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth gets shoes on it, right? That is the way. Then misinformation, disinformation, like that. But unfortunately, that our people are trying to digest more emotional content, right? Then if you are asking the role, the number one is, if you've seen something before sharing or anything, please use an approach accredited and trusted partner like Election Commission, maybe election observation missions. Other than that, actually, please think twice before sharing or reading anything. You can read, but basically reading. It is so important. That's why Timothy Snyder, he told that actually false information is not a mistake. It is a weapon. You can use as a weapon. Then voters' role is actually think twice and understand this situation and always approach official entities like Election Commission and election observation missions.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we've discussed a lot about the elections in the digital age. Maybe just one last concluding remarks. What would you like to tell the audience? I'd like to direct that question to both of you. What would be the last concluding remarks that you want to share?
Yes, so I have to say that Election Commission has identified the timely need of reforming legal framework. That's the major thing. So it's a good sign, and it's a good sign for the democracy of the country. So and also we have identified the new trends of digital era. So we are working on social media platforms, and we are building better monitoring mechanisms for the upcoming electoral cycle. And also, as you have mentioned, we are working on fact checking organizations. So it's a best I think it's kind of a better solution for the this misinformation and disinformation contents. So we are closely working with them, and we are identifying the relevant organizations, also preparing kind of a social media policy. There's a team at election commission who they are working on this social media policy. So with all these things, I can guarantee that we would have like a better equipped, better personally developed team for the upcoming electoral cycle. So yeah.
Thank you.
That's my message is, while agreeing what Ms. Pumi said, actually, for voters and all the citizens, keep faith on democratic institutions in Sri Lanka, right? You can't turn down the institutions like Sri Lanka Parliament, independent commissions, including election commission, as well as non-state actors like election observation missions. The thing is that actually democracy is something evolving. You can't expect overnight result.
Yeah.
Then it is your responsibility and my responsibility, right? We have to contribute together. Then keep faith on your democratic institutions. Then those institutions will make results to upgrade the democratic value of the country.
Thank you very much to both of you. I think we had a very fruitful discussion, and I think to our audience it's clear that the election landscape is changing with the digital age, but we are also going to see our institutions, our election observation missions are also stepping up, and hopefully by our next election cycles we'll have a more equipped and more free and fair elections being ensured, thanks to all our stakeholders coming together. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope to see you and talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's